Winter is right around the corner, and this is how you can prepare for your first snow season. Number one is set your customer goal. How many customers are you looking for? 100, 200, 300. Based on the amount of customers you are looking to achieve as a goal, that's basically gonna set the tone for all the other decisions that you're gonna need to make. You're gonna wanna make sure that you have the right amount of tractors per route. So if you're aiming for 200 customers, I would say the rule of thumb is 50 customers per machine that you're gonna wanna service. So 4 tractors total for 200 would be extremely comfortable. Now, if you want to lean more on the side of, okay, I want to make a little bit more money, but you could run the risk of having a bit more headache, you could try to run 3 tractors for 200, but I don't advise. I personally like to have the utmost best service out the gate. That's something that really grew us to where we are today, is always putting service first and not worrying so much about the bottom line profit in the earlier stages, okay? So that's how I would prepare from an investment standpoint for 200 customers, my very first year in snow business. Now we're gonna move into some more things to know about the equipment. You're gonna go make some big investments to purchase your equipment, and you're gonna wanna know your radius of the city that you will be performing your service at, okay? If you're working in an area that's really, really large and you have a lot of travel time from house to house, and maybe your city's not so dense, you're gonna wanna aim to purchase some bigger equipment, right? Some M5 111s, M6 111 Kubotas, or 5 Series John Deeres, 6 Series John Deeres. There's tons of different options out there, but you're gonna wanna stick in the 100 horsepower range and try to get some equipment that could run a 92-inch to 100-inch blower that could also go about 45 kilometers on the road. Now, if you're starting in a town that has a lot of cookie cutter driveways, it's very dense, there's not a lot of road time, the city isn't really big in radius, then you could come out the gate swinging with all hydrostatic tractors, whether that be a Kubota L6060 or a 4066R. Really look at your landscape, really look at your city and the properties you're dealing with, because that's gonna really help with your decision of what equipment to buy. Another thing that's really important to me that I learned is picking the right brand, okay? You don't wanna go and spend a couple $100,000 getting into your first year business to buy some equipment, and then you pick the wrong brand, or you have a mix and match fleet. Guys, if you wanna be consistent, you wanna save yourself a lot of headache, and you want to simplify your business, pick one tractor brand to go with. I personally recommend Kubota. I think they're the best. However, you could go John Deere, Massey Ferguson, New Holland, whatever you may decide, it's totally up to you. So for the equipment side, another big thing I could say too is make sure you pick a blower brand, you stick with it. You don't want to be going all over the place or having a bunch of different blowers. So if you pick Norman, Pronovost, Bilodeau, whatever it may be, find your blower brand, commit to it just like your tractor brand, okay? It's gonna make things very simple for you. Another thing is do your due diligence. I got tons of videos you could check out online. Make sure you are equipping your tractor with all the snow modifications it needs to endure a long winter season, okay? That's also very important. Now, I could dive into a couple other equipment things, but I'd honestly just be making a video on equipment. So I'm gonna go into the next topic, which is very important, and that is operators, okay? You wanna make sure that you are finding the right human to run your piece of equipment. This is something that I've really learned more and more year after year, is picking the right guys, finding the right talent. I think sometimes you get desperate, especially being in a service-based business. We all know it's hard to find employees nowadays, but you get desperate and you basically take anybody with a set of lungs and a heartbeat. And I really don't recommend that. Honestly, I really don't. So just be picky. Try and find the best operators possible and the best candidates to run your equipment. And trust me, I got a lot to pick this year. We're talking 45 to 48 operators total. It's gonna be some hard decisions. However, this is something I'm personally working on, and I recommend if you're starting out, really be picky for who you're hiring, okay? I promise you it is gonna save you a ton of time, headache, money, all the above, I promise. Another really important thing to prepare for going into your first snow season is spare parts, okay? You do not wanna shy away from this. However, you also don't wanna overinvest into this, because that's a mistake I've learned in the past as well, where I was like really scared of being, left in the middle of a snowstorm without any spare parts. So I decided to buy a mini dealership. No, I'm joking, but all seriousness, I had like $20,000-$30,000 in spare parts, and we didn't even utilize 3/4 of them. So that was quite embarrassing. Don't wrap up a bunch of capital in spare parts. You're gonna wanna buy the things that most frequently break, okay? And you could find out what those things are from watching some of my past videos and diving deep into some of my content. But if I had to spit a few from the top of my head, you're gonna want belts for your tractors. You're gonna want relays if you're using the Kubotas. You're gonna want spare fuses. Spare tire and rim are nice to have. You're gonna want hydraulic hoses for your blowers, fittings, spare chains, maybe even a spare blower. These are some of the more important things that I would like to keep on hand personally if I was going into my first snow season. So take notes on those guys. But for the most part, you don't have to go crazy. These are just some of the more common things that break in the middle of a snowstorm that you could easily fix on the fly, and you don't have to be an experienced mechanic. So those are some of the spare parts I recommend, which is gonna bring me into my next topic, which is relationships, okay? Something I learned on my very first year in the snow business is if I didn't have some relationships built with some guys around town who knew how to weld, who knew how to do mechanical work, and knew how to help me when I was in a jam in the middle of a snowstorm, I wouldn't have got through a lot of the winter storms that I had. Because let me tell you, when your tractor's halfway upside down in a ditch and you need somebody to pull you out and it's 2, 3 in the morning and maybe you don't have the right people, it could be very difficult to get pulled out. Or for example, if you have a blower that maybe cracked a 3-point hitch and you don't know somebody that welds, well, that tractor's down for the entire night. So little things like that, or building a good relationship with your dealership, that was huge for me too. There was some instances where we were in a jam, and thankfully our dealership, because we give them so much business, they helped us out, right? Giving us a spare piece of equipment, or being mid snowstorm and saying, yeah, just drop the blower off your current tractor, hook it up to another one at our shop, and go ahead and take it for the night. So having relationships in your earlier stages, make sure you're really honing in on that. So, go find a local welder, build a relationship with him so that, hey, if I'm in a jam in the middle of a snowstorm, this guy could give me a quick weld. Or, maybe a mobile tire guy, okay? Shout out Kevin, Mobile Tires Plus in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Kevin, thank you so much for always fixing us up in the middle of the night when we're on the road in a jam, mid snowstorm. So these are the relationships you want, right? Guys, I'm going to say this and remember it, please, because it's so important. Time is of the essence in the snow business, okay? You only have so much time to work with. It's very, very short, and you got to make decisions quick. So if you have relationships, you're gonna have a lot of leverage in your corner, okay? Build relationships with tire guys, build relationships with welders, build relationships with mechanics, and build relationships with your dealers. This is gonna fast track your growth and also help you in some sticky situations mid snowstorm. I promise you. And now for the final topic, customer support. Now, we dove into equipment and operations quite a bit, and mechanic and parts, etc. However, customer support is huge if you're trying to go into your first year in the snow business. Like I said, you want to come out the gate swinging. You want to hit a home run. You want to hit a grand slam. You don't want to come out of the gate and have a weak service and be very slow in the field and have a bunch of problems happen and not have solutions for them. This is why you need to get prepared. So if you're going in your first year, you're aiming for 200 customers, having 4 pieces of equipment is awesome. Having the right amount of operators is awesome. Okay, you're already over equipped in that sector. But customer support, don't forget about, because this is very important. You might do everything right on operations. You might be super quick out in the field. You might be doing such a great job on the driveways. However, there's always customers that are gonna want certain things, right? No matter how good of a job you're doing, they're gonna want something. And you're gonna have to make sure that you have some staff in the office to take care of these customers. Now, for your very first year in business, you might just need 1 person. You're not gonna be able to afford much more than that. That's why I really talked about how important it was to have relationships, because your first year, you're getting 200 customers. You're not gonna have a mechanic, you're not gonna have an operations manager, you're not gonna have 2, 3 people in the office. You gotta be realistic with yourself and know that I can't hire a shop manager quite yet or a mechanic, so these relationships are good to have. You're gonna wanna make sure that you have somebody full-time in the office during snow events, okay? Your customers need to be answered back to. I can't express how important that is. You have to give them an answer, and you have to give them one quick. People hate snow, it pisses a lot of people off, and they want to be heard. They want to complain half the time about nothing, and you want to make sure you're there to support them. So customer support's massive, guys, but there's also another component to the customer support, and that's customer delivery. Customers will call, text, email, whatever it may be. Your customer support will pick up, answer them back, and then what's gonna happen after that? Obviously, customer support's gonna have to communicate to the operators out in the field. So once they get communicated to out in the field, that's how they could deliver the right service, right? So it's full circle. Always remember this, because I had a huge problem for a lot of years where we had really, really good customer service, but there was a way that we could get better. And I think our bottleneck was our customer support never communicated as good as they could have to the operators out in the field. It's full circle, right? You have your customer who calls, texts, emails, support answers them back. They wait for the physical expectation to have a better scraped driveway, or maybe the operator missed the end. Okay, so what's customer support gonna do after that? Yeah, no problem, ma'am, we'll get that all done for you. No, they have to communicate to operations, and they have to communicate thoroughly, okay? So if there's no communication from customer support to operations, then the customer delivery never gets met. And that's how you have a bunch of problems and weak service. So guys, customer service, customer support, customer delivery, those three things, don't forget about it. So make sure you have somebody in the office who is punctual. Get an absolute shark in there, okay? A panther, somebody who can pick up the phone and send an email at the same time, as well as communicate with operations. So for the most part, that's everything you will need to get prepared for your first snow season. I hope this video was of value to you guys. If you're interested in seeing some similar videos or you have some more questions, maybe I can make another video out of some of the comments you guys could leave below. I'd really appreciate it. Or if you want to dive deep into answering some questions you may have for me, you could always book a one-on-one call with me. If you go to my link tree, it's in my bio on Instagram or any social media platform. You could click Ask Me Questions. We could hop on a one-on-one call and I could fast track you to help you scale your snow business very quickly. Well guys, that's all I got for you on this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe and like. I'm waiting for your comments below. I appreciate you all so much. We will catch you on the next one. Peace.